is growing, and it's about to get even bigger. CNN's Jeff Zeleny live in Des Moines, Iowa this morning. Jeff, former President Trump was campaigning in Iowa yesterday and talked about his competitors. How does he see the field?
Hey, good morning, Rahel. The field is getting bigger, and next week alone, 3 Republican candidates are set to join the race. In fact, there are so many alternatives to Donald Trump, it is benefiting one person of all, and that's the former president, which is exactly what he's counting on.
So far, Donald Trump is getting most everything he wanted from the Republican presidential campaign.
There's no way I can lose Iowa. Let's see what happens. I don't think so. We'd have to do some really bad things to lose at this point.
Including a list of rivals that's growing by the week, with the anyone but Trump lane of the race becoming remarkably crowded.
I think it's advantageous to Trump. I don't like that.
Julie Marley is a loyal Republican who came to see Florida Governor Ron DeSantis the other night and is sizing up several contenders. But she offered pointed words of advice for those entering the race.
Stay for a while, see what happens, but then don't stay too long, because we need to.
I'm sorry, I hate Iowa voters so much. Like, the entire state is designed around being the first to fucking vote in the primaries. I hate it. Like, and you can tell, like, they're oozing with this entitlement that, like, the entire country has to fake caring about Iowa for, like, a brief moment. And they love it, dude. They fucking love that shit. It is so frustrating. It's so frustrating to have your entire state be designed around that. And corn. But there's plenty of other corn states. That's the thing. There's so many other corn states that they can't, like, make corn their entire personality. So they've literally made being the first in the primaries their entire personality. It's crazy.
Beat the Democrats.
As summer approaches, the Republican field is starting to burst at the seams, with former Vice President Mike Pence and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie set to jump in next week, joining former Governor Nikki Haley and Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy.
I call him Asa Hutchinson. I call him Ada. That was his own for Asa Hutchinson.
Who are already in the race. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is also poised to announce next week.
Yeah, this guy's like a billionaire from North Dakota who is like going to self-finance.
And New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu promises a decision soon. And Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin is not ruling out a run later this year, if some contenders flame out.
Well, if that many candidates stay in the race, that benefits Trump. Trump will win by the power division.
100%. That is absolutely correct. Bob Vanderplants, the president of the family leader, is 100% correct. His analysis is true. All these motherfuckers are running, and they're basically running against Ron DeSantis. They're eating away at the tiny sliver of, like, influence Ron DeSantis could have. It's pretty fucked up. Pretty fucked up for our boy.
And that's why we'll see if we learned our lesson well.
Bob Vanderplatz, an influential evangelical leader in Iowa, said the party should not repeat the mistakes of 2016, when Trump claimed the nomination with a divided Republican electorate, rather than facing a head-to-head match with one strong opponent.
So my concern is, so how many get in? It's when do they get out? And when do they give America a clear choice between the former president and an alternative?
A big field is precisely what Trump is banking on and basking in, as he shook hands and took questions at a series of small events in Iowa, while making clear he's fixated on one rival above all.
Ron, as I call him, Ron DeSanctimonious.
The former president seized upon a leading argument DeSantis made to voters here this week.
We could bring back George Washington. I don't know that he would be able to get it done in just 4 years.
And sought to mock the Florida governor's pitch that he's eligible for 2 terms, not simply one more like Trump.
That is Little Rhonda's strongest argument. That's Little Rhonda's strongest argument, dude. That at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and only Ron DeSantis can allow you to no longer see those ads at the top of the hour. Just kidding. It's not Ron DeSantis. It's a $5 a month subscription or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime that will allow you to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. As a matter of fact, I was lying. It's not Little Rhonda. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's the 3-minute break now. George Washington, like what? There's 50 states. What is this? What? Why did Ron say that? This seems like such a dumbass thing to say.
And I don't know that he would be able to.
Here this week.
We could bring back George Washington. I don't know that he would be able to get it done in just 4 years.
And sought.
It's weird. It's a weird thing to say. For cute. Thank you for the 5 gifted. The DND Andy, thank you for the 5 gifted. Allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour.
To mock the Florida governor's pitch that he's eligible for 2 terms, not simply one more like Trump.
You don't need 8 years, you need 6 months. We can turn this thing around so quickly. Who the hell wants to wait 8 years? You don't need 8 years.
And in New Hampshire Thursday, DeSantis hitting back at Trump.
Why didn't he do it his first 4 years?
As the campaign intensifies, signs are emerging that it's far too.
That's a good line, too. The why didn't he do it in his first 4 years is also another solid line. You could just easily say that over and over again. You know, these are the PowerPoints for Little Rhonda. Ultimately. But even then it's like not that good. Because it ultimately doesn't matter. One, Republicans think Donald Trump was their Lord and Savior and did so much good stuff when he was president. So much so that he is like literally using like all of the economic downturn of COVID as a benefit, where he talks about how cheap gas was. Like every single time he says how cheap gas was, it was a barrel, it was $1 a barrel. It's like, yeah, bro, during COVID, like, what the fuck? Like, he's turning around and making COVID out to be a good thing for the people.
Too early to presume it's a 2-man contest.
That he
as
did.
Candidates begin blanketing the state that begins the Republican nomination battle early next year. Lori Hartson also believes the field is cluttered. In her mind, it's already a 1-man race.
President Trump already made America great. Now we need him back to fix it.
She drove 4 hours to catch a glimpse of the former president outside one of his Iowa stops.
Oh my God. Dude, it's like, this is like scary, dude. Grandma, fucking go get into knitting or something. Like, be normal. Why are you a deadhead but for Donald Trump?
Step aside and let him run and focus on President Biden? Or do you think a competitive Republican primary is fine?
I drove down 4 hours to see Donald Trump through the Iowa cornfields because he's the greatest president of our generation of all time.
I wish they would step aside, but they won't. And I don't know if it's ego. They won't. And more keep coming in. It's like, come on, Mike Pence. Really, Mike? Give it up.
Mike Pence. She's not wrong, though.
So that sentiment, of course, is expressing the challenges facing former Vice President Mike Pence as he announces his bid here in Iowa next week. But there are also many Republicans we've spoken to who welcome his true conservative views, and he also is reaching out to evangelical voters here, of course, very important to this core. So we're held virtually all of the candidates back in Iowa this weekend, with the exception of Donald Trump. They have an event at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. So Republican voters have many options to choose, and that is specifically what worries some of the voters who are looking to turn the page.
Well, Jeff, it's interesting because you say in your piece, you know, it may be too early to say it's a 2-man race. Walk us through some of these other candidates, because I think there is this question about, do any of the other candidates have a real shot other than Trump and DeSantis?
Sure, that's what the campaign is all about. And here we're just at the beginning of June. The candidates who are out working, talking to voters, Nikki Haley, for one. She's been having more events here in Iowa, the former South Carolina governor, than virtually any other candidate. She's gaining a bit of traction. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, his name comes up again and again, and he has a lot of money behind his candidacy. He's already running television ads here on the air in Iowa. So look, this is the season of where voters are shopping, if you will, looking at all these potential candidates. And yes, Trump is leading the race. He is the leading candidate, but he's not the presumptive nominee. It is far too soon to see that. One thing about Iowa, the history of it shows that that frontrunners are often humbled here. Many people who come into Iowa, back in 2008, for example, Rudy Giuliani, he was seen as a frontrunner. Of course, he fizzled. The list of that is long. So the state is known for elevating challengers, humbling frontrunners. We will see what happens this time.